I, I mean, another weird day in the NBA, everyone. Not that we didn't have a whole lot of fantasy stuff to talk about. So the NBA gave us other stuff. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. I'm Dan Vespers. And as of just a few moments ago, the Denver Nuggets have wiped out the whole damn front office. It started with this tweet from Shams, breaking: the Denver Nuggets have fired coach Michael Malone, sources tell ESPN. But it continued with this tweet from Shams: full clean out. That is what's known as a front office enema. The Denver Nuggets are also firing general manager Calvin Booth, sources tell ESPN. That's back to the quote again. There's nothing about an enema in his tweet. Michael Malone and Booth are both out today. Holy crap. Does this change anything for the Denver Nuggets from a fantasy standpoint? No, we're at the end of the year. What does it matter anyway? They got a couple of games left. You're not going to change anything dramatic here. What does it mean for Denver's future? That one's a little more murky, I would think. You know, I'm sure we'll get more of the story as it goes. But when you see this a week from the playoffs, 1 week, a team that's been pretty bad since the All-Star break. Let's be honest, Denver's been kind of mediocre lately. You think something went down behind closed doors. Obviously, I'm not in there. I don't know the story. I'm just guessing. Because we saw with the Grizzlies, but the Grizzlies had years and years of good regular seasons and then flaming out early in the playoffs. The Nuggets won the title 2 years ago. What? Jamal Murray, he was really getting rolling, but he's been out again. Aaron Gordon's been hurt all year. Jokic and Christian Brown are basically the two Nuggets that have been healthy this season. And if you wanted to put it on the GM, I would kind of understand that, because he even came out and was like, he basically said in the media that KCP was replaceable. And I think it's looking more and more like he kind of wasn't for them, because the Nuggets defensively are just not as good this year. They've needed more health, more whatever. Michael Porter Jr. has been sort of fine. I guess he's been healthy. They're 15 games over 500. They've lost 4 in a row. It's been bad lately, but fire your title-winning coach a week from the playoffs? Bad? That's pretty damn weird. I don't know where Denver goes from here. They one of the other tweets from Shams listed David Adelman, I think that's Rick's kid, as the interim head coach. I got to think that this, it's full clean house at the end of the postseason. Does this wake up the players, or does it galvanize them in hatred of the front office? Did they like having Michael Malone, or were they sick of him? I don't know, man. It seemed like the players loved their coach from the outside. The tweets that are flashing by the timeline are all talking about how, there was tension behind the scenes, but that feels like it was tension between the front office and ownership. I thought maybe when the first tweet came out that it was tension between front office and head coach, but then everybody's gone. Ownership standing there like the last scene in Fresh Prince. This is alone in the living room. This is crazy, man. Nothing's going to take Nikola Jokic off the pedestal for me of top player in fantasy basketball. This isn't going to, I don't care who they hire for next season, but it could have a trickle-down effect on the non-Jokic guys in Denver. And frankly, it could have a trickle-down effect on the Jokic Denver future. Is this something that he wanted? Is it going to be more like a last straw kind of thing? I know I don't know where does Jokic see this through? All of these things we will find out over time, but that was a pretty crazy piece of news to see flying out there. From a reality standpoint, there's no way that this is good for Denver. They're putting in an assistant coach who generally knows how things are done. So a best case scenario is that the team gets a little bit of a wake-up call run here. They call that the head coach, the new coach bounce, where it's not even about the new coach. It's just about the players being like, oh crap, if we keep sucking, they're just going to knife us all at this point. So maybe that happens, but like that's the kind of thing that wakes you up in the regular season when your opponents are half asleep. That's not the kind of thing that wakes you up in the playoffs when your opponents are also wide awake. I think ultimately this is a very bad move for Denver. I personally think the move was getting rid of Calvin Booth, who has done some good stuff there, make no mistake, but leaning into the Russell Westbrook thing, leaning into the we don't need KCP thing, leaning into we have the pieces to replace guys, kind of calling, I forget what his exact quote was, but it's something like, the fourth, fifth best player on an NBA team. These are interchangeable pieces or something like that. Well. So that's the news of the morning. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. Oh, we do have a little bit of fantasy stuff to talk about today. My plan, actually, and quick reminder, everybody, March Madness is now over. Your national champions are the Florida Gators, and every game was a freaking blast. I hope you guys got a chance to get down with our friends over at MyBookie for their bet and get promo, and you should sign up with MyBookie to make sure you don't miss the next one. Bet and get, in case you hadn't heard, and it was March Madness related. If you place any cash bet on a March Madness game, you get a surprise reward. You place a bet, you get a reward. Bet and get. Could have been a free bet, cash back, bonus chips for the casino. You never knew what the get was going to be, but it was going to be some sweet prize from our friends over at MyBookie. Smart bettors know real money is made in betting one game at a time. So be reasonable, be clever, be judicious, and sign up now using promo code MM50 to get a deposit bonus on your first, deposit. Probably should have picked my words better there. It's a bankroll bonus on your first deposit with that promo code MM50. And if you don't want it, if you don't want to worry about the rollover stuff, that's okay. Use the promo code anyway. That way they know that we here at Old Man Squad and the Believe Network sent you. Bet on every game, anytime, from anywhere. That's cool. Only with MyBookie. Let's quickly go through the box scores from yesterday. We haven't done a straight box score analysis show in a while, but there were only 2 games on the docket. So I think we can probably squeeze this one in timing-wise. He says sort of tongue-in-cheek. Obviously, we can do 2 ball games. There was a little bit of news in the first one. Sacramento lost Malik Monk early in the ball game, went down with a calf injury. Don't know if he's going to have to miss some time, but calf stuff is weird. And I know his line wasn't very good, but Keon Ellis played 37 minutes. He is a must-roster player anytime one of the other minute guys is out. Now, Ellis was already starting, but Monk was kind of breathing down his neck every ball game. So it was, Ellis got 28 minutes one game and then 22 the next. And it was better with him as a starter. It was more reliable, but it wasn't everyday reliable. Now he's basically everyday reliable. Also, Trey Lyles got the start for Keegan Murray. He didn't do very much, but I think would generally be someone you could look at starting if he gets another spot play for the Kings, who somehow lost to the Wizards and now have taken care of the Cavs and the Pistons. It's just Jekyll and Hyde team. Zach LaVine was excellent. He had 43. Sabonis had a triple-double. DeMar had 37. This is one of those games where everything for the Kings was sort of just in the right place. But the big news there is if you have Malik Monk and you're still playing, you can probably drop him because, look, he was droppable coming off the bench anyway. Now he's hurt. And Keon Ellis, to me, is a must-roster player. For Detroit, they're still down Tobias Harris, and they're continuing to run small with Dennis Schroeder basically as the starting point guard, Cade Cunningham starting shooting guard, but they're interchangeable. Cade's a bigger dude, so he's going to guard the slightly bigger guy on the other side. Jalen Duren only played 20 minutes in this one. He had 5 fouls. That was a big part of it. He was also a late add after being scratched earlier in the day, but his foul trouble allowed Isaiah Stewart to get loose. And I had talked on a show about how I wanted to start Isaiah Stewart if Duren was out. I was not home, and I ended up starting Stewart anyway yesterday and kind of dodged a bullet there. Asar Thompson is definitely a go, especially when Tobias Harris is out. That's sort of the big win for him. Tim Hardaway Jr. is a points and threes stream. Same story for Malik Beasley. Dennis Schroeder, with Cunningham back, loses a lot of his value, especially if he misses his free throws, which he did in this one. He's more of an assists and free throws stream, but he's lost, again, a lot of his appeal with Cade back and playing full starters minutes. Philadelphia continues to tank their way to victory. This is the process time for Philly. Then they've done a really good job of it. Philly's lost 12 games in a row. That is the worst losing. It's a winning streak for them. It's a losing streak in reality. They're now 23-56. It's becoming more and more difficult for the Nets to catch them for a worse record. They're probably not going to catch the Pelicans for an even worse record, but for a team in Philadelphia that has their top pick or their first round pick, top 6 protected, being bottom 5 gives them a much better shot of holding on to it. Lonnie Walker got the start in this ball game. That's a big deal. Justin Edwards was out. If Justin Edwards is out again, you definitely want to play Walker. I know he didn't do that much besides score 29 points with 6 3-pointers, but you put him on a court for 40 minutes, and like most NBA players, he's fantasy startable in 40 minutes. Adem Bona is a start in every format's guy, as is Quentin Grimes. Jared Butler is more of an assists play. He had 4 steals here, but you can't count on that every ball game. And that's probably about as far as you go with Philly, unless Gershon Yabusele gets ruled back in for the next ball game. You could start him because he'll play about 30 power forward minutes. Over on the Miami side, Tyler Hero was back for this one. That pushed Duncan Robinson back to the bench, but he still had 5 threes, and he's a threes streamer if you need him. Khalil Ware is a start. Obviously, when in, Bam Adebayo is a start, but he missed this ball game as well. Andrew Wiggins was back out again. This was zombie heat, but again, this was a throwaway game, so they really didn't have much problem. Davion Mitchell is a start everywhere guy also, along with Hero, Bam, and Ware. Slow-mo has been better lately, but he and Pelly Larson are kind of fighting for the Andrew Wiggins minutes, and I don't fully trust either of them, and that's as far as I'd go with the Miami Heat. And everything else you need to know about how we value guys, you could take off of yesterday's show. You remember when we had that big old list of specialists? Well, there were a few more in this one. But what I actually wanted to talk about on today's program, and I got to make sure that I find the right league to show you guys. And I went back and forth on this because I didn't know how much you guys wanted to see, like, what I'm doing in my own fantasy leagues. But I wanted to pull up this one league that I'm in. It's a Yahoo league. You can see the name is extraordinarily clever. It's just, my team name is just Jokic-Booker. I label because I have a bunch of Yahoo, what do they call them? Public prize leagues. I used to call them pro leagues. Yahoo public prize leagues. And I just label them based on who my first and second round picks are. And in this one, I had the number 2 pick, and I was very happy that somebody took Victor. So I got Jokic. And I took Booker in the second round. But the point is, yes, I'm in first place. That's not what I want you guys to see. I want to talk about a couple of end-of-season strategy things for specifically Roto leagues right now. So the game recap part, if you're in a head-to-head league, you probably don't need to watch the end of this thing. But if you just like the sound of me yelling at you, that's fine. I'm happy to have you. But I wanted to mention 2 or 3 really important Roto strategies for the end of the year. Number 1 is, you guys can see I'm sharing my PC screen. So this is not a mobile app. This is my desktop computer. I'm an old man. I'm fully aware of that. This is the old man squad. And you don't have good access to this same thing on your mobile, which is the games tracker for Roto leagues. Basically, if you have a Roto league with a games cap, you can't get this. If you use your phone for everything, you're not going to see this thing down in the corner, which tracks your maximum games and gives you basically a number remaining and a projection. And the goal, of course, is to be like right on your max number, which for Yahoo public prize leagues is 82 games per slot. So you got a point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, 2 center slots, 2 utility slots. So it's 82 through the first 6 of those, and then 164 center games and 164 utility games. Yahoo will give you a guideline, and the guideline part, the projected column, is much more useful in the middle of the season. Now we're so close to the end of the year, you can just look at the remaining column. So like I got 5 point guard games I can use left. And this is really important to know because there are no games on the final Saturday of this season. Remember this. So starting today, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, there are only 5 game days left, meaning that I need to play someone. If I have to try to fill 5 games played, which I do, point guard, guard, small forward, power forward, I have to play someone in those slots every single day the rest of the way. And I think I did that. Point guard, guard, small forward, power forward. You guys can see what I've done here. So I've got Halliburton in the point guard spot, Jordan Poole, LeBron, Obi Toppin. Those are the 4 guys that I definitely have in. Utility is I want to try to. I have 9 left there, so there's one day that I could get away with just having one guy going, but every other day I got to get 2. And then center, I got 7 left, so I have a little bit more wiggle room there, and I have a bunch of centers on this team, so I'm not super worried about that. But you're at a point of the year now where, and we talked about this with Josh Lloyd before the season even started, way the hell back. The cardinal sin of games cap formats is not using up your games cap. You might lose by 7 rebounds because you didn't play all 82 power forward games. You might finish at 81 power forward games and 81 forward games. And if you had just played almost any 2 guys in the whole damn NBA, you'd have gained a roto point there. You never know at the beginning of the year. So log into, if you're in a roto account, especially if you're relatively new to it, if you're a longtime roto player, you know this page exists. Go to it on a computer, not a mobile app, and look and see specifically how many games you have left at each roster slot you can use. You can look at the projection if you want, or you can just look at the remaining this late in the year and then make sure that, and it's hard for these fab leagues because you might have to line up like 6 or 7 different moves overnight in case, one of them doesn't go through. But like basically, I got to look at my roster the rest of the way. Today is fine. Tomorrow, do I have enough guys for a point guard, a guard, a small forward, power forward? Like, yes. I mean, here, I'll just do the start active players board. There you go. So I like there's 9 guys going tomorrow. I'll probably drop, I don't know, Obi Toppin. I'll probably drop. I could maybe drop Malik Beasley or Sam Hauser. I'm trying to make a run in 3-pointers in this league if it wasn't super obvious by that. But that's the other thing I want to talk about. So first, go through all the remaining days on your schedule and see if you have enough guys to actually hit the games cap. And if not, you're going to have to make 2 or 3 moves every single night. Just churn and burn. Roster churn. The next thing I wanted to point out is to go to the standings board in your Roto League and don't look at the number. The number is great. Yes, I picked this one because I'm tied for first. That's fun. You guys can see here's a pretty good Dan's team. I'm not in first place in every league. I'm in pretty damn good shape in like 2/3 to 3/4 of my leagues, but odds are there will be a handful where I'm out of the money. That's okay. This one I thought was important because I'm in a dead heat. 78 points apiece with this team called Flying Mellow, and the next nearest team is at 68 points, and it's really the 2 of us. But then the key is you got to scroll down and don't look at how many points you've got. That's fun. Look at the bottom part. And this you can also see on mobile, but it's so much easier to see on an actual desktop computer. So I would strongly recommend you guys pull up. It could be a laptop also, but just on an actual PC, a real computer, not a phone. Not an iPad, a computer. Okay, here's the key. You've got to figure out where you can make gains and where you might have certain game played advantages. As you guys can see, if you're watching along, I've only played 776 of my games cap, and the team that I'm tied with is at 792. Right out of the gate, I feel pretty good about my ability to inch past that team because they have a 16-game advantage over me, which, again, not a ton. That's like 2%. They have a 2% games played advantage, but 2% is a lot at this point in the year. Okay, now I scroll back up and see where. So this is where you start. Start with the points and see who's above you and below you in a bunch of different categories. We'll start with field goal percent. I have 11 points, so I'm second place. Do I have any chance of catching this team? I'm at 504. First place is at 507 with a week left. Probably not. It's hard to go. It's 3 1,000ths, but at this point in the year, it's pretty hard to move 3 1,000ths in less than a week unless I just started all centers, but that would tank the rest of what I'm doing. What about free throw? Okay, I'm number 8. Who's got 9 points? These two teams at 8-12. I'm at 809. Probably not catching those guys either. What about threes? That's been kind of one of my weak points this year. I'm third from the bottom. I only have 3 Roto points and 3-pointers. Ooh, this is promising now. The two teams in last place, dead last and second to last, are the two teams ahead of me in 3-pointers. Let's see how close they are. I have 1268. They have 1295 and 1300. So that's what I've done here. I don't care that they have less games than me. I feel pretty confident that these teams have stopped setting lineups. Like this team at the bottom is only at 700 games played. They haven't set their lineup in probably a couple of weeks. Great. I was probably behind them by a couple hundred threes when that happened. What about this other one, Team Schmody? They're maybe still setting their lineup, but probably not every day. They probably just hit like the set it for the week button. And if half their guys are injured or out, they're probably just going to let it ride. I don't think they're making a bunch of pickups. I'm only 27 threes behind this team right ahead of me, and I'm only 32 threes behind the team at the very bottom with an opportunity to gain 2 points. And I don't think I'm going to catch this team because they're still playing, but it's notable if I wanted to go even farther to see who has 6 points. It's this team called Skywalker 8s. They're at 802 games played. So yeah, they're probably going to use up all of their games, but I'm also 26 games behind them, and I'm down, 43 threes? I could catch them too. Now I want to know, okay, here's another thing. Did this team screw up where they used their games played? No, pretty even across the board. So sometimes you'll go to another team's max games column that we were just talking about a few minutes ago, and you might see them like already done. They've like used up all of their guard games played, but they still have 40 left to use at center or something weird like that. And it's like, oh, well, they're not going to get any threes the rest of the way. This team pretty evenly like ahead in games played, meaning that I'm going to have to catch them organically. And they are still setting their lineup because they're in 5th place and they're still praying they can maybe get up to 3rd. And like, I think Yahoo's public prize league, you win $10 if you get to 3rd place. It's not $10. It's like 20% profit. So if you're in a $50 league, it's $10. If you're in a $100 league, it's $20. Yeah, 20% profit if you can get into 3rd place. 2nd place is like 260% profit, and then 1st place is more. I forget. 1st place is like you 6 exit. 2nd place is like 2.5. It doesn't matter. Point is, this team is far enough up the board where they're gonna keep making a run at it. So they're not gonna not set their lineup. I'm not gonna be able to catch them because they're at the bottom or gave up. I would have to catch them the real way. What about points? I'm in 1st place in points. I know it's weird. You guys aren't used to seeing that. Team in 2nd place is about 200 behind me, and they've played 30 more games than me. So that one's fine. I'm not worried about that. If I have to throw away points, I can. Rebounds. I mean, we're going through this one by one, but this is important. The team behind me is 100 rebounds lower, but they've used 11 more games, so I'm in pretty good shape there. The team ahead of me is 200 ahead, 16 games. I don't think I'm going to catch them. That'd be crazy. Assists, I'm in 1st place. The team behind me is 300 back. I probably should have given up some assists a month back because I have way too big of a cushion there. I should have spent some of that assist capital on maybe one more shot blocker earlier in the year, or a guy who hits more threes and assists less or something. But I have Jokic on this team. What am I going to do? I probably didn't need other assists. Steals, I'm in 1st place. I actually traded away. I think I had Dyson Daniels, and I traded him away in this league knowing that I had way too big of a lead, and I still have a gigantic lead, and that's not going anywhere. So I don't need to worry about assists. And then blocks, I have 9 points there. The team behind me is 21 blocks back. I have played 9 more games than them, but I don't think they're going to set their lineup every day. So I'm not super concerned. I'm 30 blocks behind the team in front of me, so I don't really feel like I can make much room there. And then turnovers, I'm only 3 away from gaining a point there, but it's, again, the team that's played 26 more games than me. So by all accounts, I'm going to lose turnovers, and I just have to be okay with that. So I've gone now through all 9 categories, and there's literally, really, only one where I can make any kind of headway. and it's threes, unless you argue that maybe field goal or free throw percent with a particularly amazing or awful week, that could change a little bit. But right now, the only thing that matters for this particular team, if I wanted to gain points, I'm looking at 2 points basically, is 3-pointers. That's where I can make headway. What I hope happens around my team is that this club that I'm tied with, Flying Mellow, because they're, ahead of some of these other teams, maybe do they not gain any points down the stretch? If you really wanted to get nuts, you could go through and see where the team that you're tied with is also going to try to make points, but there's not a whole lot you can do about it. They're behind me in free throw percent. If that's, if they wanted to try to make a bunch of ground gained, that would maybe be a way to do it, but that'd be pretty hard for them to pull off unless my team really screws up foul shooting. So now I go back to my team. And again, we're almost done here, but I thought this was a fun day with only 2 games yesterday and the Michael Malone news to go through these strategies. Now I'm back to my team. I'm like, okay, well, I got to know what my guys are doing. Who's hitting threes on my team? Halliburton, Jordan Poole, those guys have been my guy. I only picked up Beasley lately. Jokic at 2 a game, Booker at 2.5. DeRozan and Brown haven't really hit many this year. LeBron at 2.2, that's been okay. But lately, and Herter's out, so that's annoying, and I might have to drop him if I want to maximize games played, but he's been hitting a bunch of threes lately. You can look at the last 14 days, Kevin Herter is at almost 3 threes a game. This is what I'm hunting for. It's why I have Obi Toppin on my team. If Pascal Siakam sits out this ball game, he probably hits 2 to 3 threes. That's basically all I'm hunting. I'm literally only playing Rudy Gobert because I want to make sure that I max out my center spot. I don't need what Rudy's doing. In fact, he might actually be a detriment. My team might be in better shape if I just benched Rudy Gobert, but he's been so good lately that I kind of feel like I need to just sort of turn him loose. But I'm going to be hunting the waiver wire. The fact that Donovan Clingan is hitting a 3-pointer a game over the last 2 weeks or almost has been huge in me feeling comfortable deploying him. So I'm going to go out there. I'm going to find a center that hits 3-pointers. I'm going to make sure that my utility guys are guys that hit 3-pointers. I'm going to make sure that all my forwards, everybody in my forward slots, are guys that hit 3-pointers because I want, over the last 6 days of this season, only 5 of them, remember, have games on them. I want every player that I roll out there, with apparently the exception of Rudy Gobert, I want every one of my guys to have a reasonable shot to hit 2 3-pointers in a game. Because if they pull that off and I can gain 2 roto points down the stretch, that might lock up first place solely for me instead of a tie. So look at your league, see where you're close. Again, start with the standings, look at the numbers, see who's above you and below you, see how far, see what the games played gap is there. Go back to your team, check out where you're running hot and cold in total games used so far this year, and then just start lining up moves. I wish I could show you guys. This is a fab league, all the Yahoo public prize leagues are. I had a list of 9 roster moves for overnight, and it was just a tree of them. So for tonight, I'll probably set Obi Toppin to be dropped to pick up someone else. I'll probably set, I don't know, maybe Beasley's such a good 3-point. I'll probably set Kevin Herter to be dropped to pick up someone else because he's actually dealing with a real injury. But then I got to set up a backup to that and a backup to a backup in case the guys that I wanted to pick up are getting added by someone else. I must have players that are going each day because I got to hit my games played limit and I want them to be 3-point shooters. So go check out your league, make those moves, be willing to spend the extra couple of minutes because again, I don't know how much what your league buy-in is, but if you're in a $100 league, the difference between second place and first place is usually multiple hundreds of dollars. It's worth it. You've put in all this time all year. Now really get into the weeds, win that effort battle this last week when it's the hardest to do, and let's take home some cash. Thanks for watching, everybody. I am Dan Besbris. Shout out again to MyBookie. Hit that subscribe button if you're just finding us here. Welcome to those of you that just did. I've been hitting you up individually on Twitter to come check us out here on the program. I am at Dan Besbris on social media. Old Man Squad on Blue Sky. It's also the show feed. Damn it, I had news to break, and I forgot to break it because breaking news happened in the NBA. I screwed that up. I will break the news tomorrow on the show and today probably over on social media. So thanks again for watching, everybody. I'm Dan for Old Man Squad. We'll see you guys soon. Let's go Wins.